Hello gamers, Pet here. Welcome to Bolt tutorial part 2. We are going to make a small Plants vs Zombies uh, clone. I don't actually plan on implementing all the mechanics that come with a Plants vs Zombie. Anyway, I will see how good I feel and how much I want to continue with. But in case you've watched the first part, hopefully this part will be a little bit shorter, even that we actually have to cover a couple of stuff. I actually wrote them down. In this episode, we are going to talk about my new HUD scene, the pause menu, the flow, and the state machine. We are going to talk about the state machine, which is actually kind of cool that you can do it with Bolt. We are going to talk about the scene load HUD, the grass style clicked, which we finally did, the flower UI clicked bug fix, which we found in the last game, and the UI manager. So there are a couple of things that we will talk about, and knowing me, I'm sure that I'm going to ramble a lot. So in case you are not familiar with me, I know that some of you appreciate my tutorials, even that they are kind of long. But some of you might get a little bit scared, like, holy shit, this video is way too long, I'm not going to watch it, which is why I'm actually trying to make a written tutorial on my website, gamerpet.com, and even if I don't write that many details on the website, you will see hopefully all the screenshots of my flows there, so you can get inspired yourself. Also, if you want to check out Bolt, make sure you click the link in the description that will lead you to the asset store, and also I will place a link to the written tutorial. So anyway, let's move on. It's also 4:06 a.m. here, so this is the voice that I'm going to talk like, even that I'm usually more excited and I love to show you stuff, and I really get excited myself when I'm doing when I'm showing stuff, because I really enjoy stuff like this. So anyway, I believe that in the last video I discovered the small bug, which isn't, I mean, it can be a bug, but it was mostly something that I forgot to see. It was like I was clicking on the plant, which was instantiating, right, and it was following my cursor, but then and I could cancel it without any problems, right? The problem was that and I can build it, right? But the problem was that if I click the UI, my sunflower was still getting placed in the scene while a new flower got picked up, and this was kind of like a problem. You can also see a new thing that I've already made. You can see that the plant is animating, and it's kind of spawning some console logs, but it says sun spawned, which we will not do in this tutorial. We will do that in part 3. Anyway, there is a thing, as you can see here, the plant is not animating right now because it's in the state called unplanted, but when we put it down, the animation starts, and this is something that I had to take into consideration when I did this new system. And it's actually kind of great because Bolt, besides having a flow machine, right, it also has a state machine, and I love state machines. People who know me, who watch my videos, know that I like Playmaker, even that so far I haven't made any videos about Playmaker. However, Playmaker is like a huge asset, and in this particular case, I wouldn't want to actually import Playmaker just to have a state machine and then link it with Bolt, and like making it communicate. And anyway, it's great that Bolt has a state machine. So let's clear the log and let's actually start with the HUD scene. The HUD scene right now, it's over here, but it's not loaded. And what I did with the HUD scene is that I created this money, which is actually the money label. I'm using the Text Mesh Pro, and I do recommend you to use Text Mesh Pro. It's free right now on the asset store because Unity kind of bought it, and it will be integrated later. But basically, the Text Mesh Pro is able to create crisp looking text, right? And we also have this label, money text, that's right now it's outputting 666, but in case you noticed, when we start the game, it says 100, and it says 100 because we have a new variable here in the scene. Actually, in the app, it says money int 100. This is the money, this is the variable of money, that we will use, because in Plants vs Zombie you have some money, right? And when you build a plant, each plant will cost money. So you will subtract money when you build a plant, and the way you get more money is with the sunflower plant. It will generate a sun, and when you click that sun, you will get some money. That's the main idea, right? And we also have this UI manager, which right now is being set up to null. And this is actually going to get populated when we actually start the scene, but I will not show you that yet because we are still at the HUD. So another thing that I've implemented, when as you can see, the money will get to 100, and oh, never mind. There is a small problem because we have two HUD scenes loaded right now. But let me actually show you the escape. This is the menu that if you press resume, it will just resume. You still see it because I have two scenes there. If you click exit to menu, it will actually load the menu scene. So anyway, the reason why this happened is because I shouldn't have the scene loaded. Why? Because we made it so the game manager loads the HUD scene. And I will show you that a little bit later because we did require a couple of nodes, and it was actually great when we finally did it. I say we because I've been live streaming my sessions to twitch.tv/gamerpet, and I had some people coming on the chat, helping me out, talking and other stuff like that. It's kind of fun actually. So let's actually load the scene so I can show it to you some more. So the pause menu, which is disabled right now, it has a panel. It has this text, which is also Text Mesh Pro, and it has these buttons, as you can see here, with a button text. It's kind of easy and straightforward. Now, there was a problem. Let's actually start with this, and I will get it out of the way. There was a problem. The pause menu has to be disabled, right? Because you don't want to start with the pause menu on, and the pause menu only enables itself when you press escape key, right? Now, in order for us to do the escape thingy, there was a small problem. We need to keep a reference of the pause menu in our game manager, right? So when I press escape, I do an event, hey, escape got pressed, activate pause menu, bam. But there was a problem. You know that in our game manager, I believe, let's actually see it. I do a find, and there is a problem when you do a find. We will encounter this later. There's a problem when we do a fight. Why? Actually, this is the start, but we don't do a find here. Anyway, let's actually go to the UI manager, and we do a find here, for example, right? If you do a find and the object is disabled, the Unity will not be able to find the menu, the game object. Why? Because it's disabled. So this was a little bit problematic. So we changed things a little bit. And in a way, it's very good that I've done it like that. I kind of have this tendency to centralize, like the game manager. Then I also have the UI manager, which we'll talk a bit later. But then I kind of also wanted to do the pause menu logic in the game manager. But then I was like, why? Pause menu is something like super not that interesting, a little bit boring. Why should we have it in the game manager? Why not have it in the HUD scene and that's all? I mean, it's not something that you will have to constantly go back and forth and improve it and so stuff like that. And we don't want to have the game manager too fluffy, right? And the main problem was that I can't really reference stuff from the game manager because the HUD scene is another scene. That's one problem. So what we did was to create this pause menu logic, which is an embedded graph, which means it can reference stuff from the scene itself. It doesn't have to find them, right? Because it's not an asset file. So we do have this flow machine, and this flow machine has the UI, the logic for the buttons. So as you can see, on button click event, we even set it up, and this is one of the problems, right? If this was in the game manager, right over here. I was also pointing at the monitor. I was like, why am I pointing with my finger at the monitor? We wouldn't be able to reference them like this because they are from another scene. We will need to find them and stuff like that, right? So because we did it like this, we can just drag and drop the menu over here. And as you can see, on button click, we load the scene menu, and we loaded it single and not additive, meaning that since it's single, it will unload all our current scenes, game and HUD, and it will load the main menu. Easy. Then we also have this on button click, the exit button, we quit, and we also output exit game done. So we know that that we done that. So this is the flow of the pause menu, right? But we also have a state machine, and let me show you how a state machine works in Bolt. It's actually kind of great, and I can't wait to play with it some more. You create like a new state. If you actually go, let's actually go here, create Bolt, you can create a state macro, and it will be like empty. So what you can do is right click, create a flow state, and those are just states. But if I double click one of them, and you can rename them, see, so you know exactly what you're doing, right? But if you double click, ooh guys, ooh, I have flow. This is the state, and you can do multiple states and events. And as you can see, I will show you exactly what happens here in a bit. But when you double click, you have flows. So we have on enter state, we do timescale 1, and we set active the pause menu, and we set it to false. Basically, we hide it. It doesn't make much sense right now, because when we start playing, this is the start state, which is why it's green, right? Let me actually show you what the pause state will do. When we finally enter the pause state, we set the timescale to 0, and we activate the pause menu. Timescale means that if you put timescale to 0, it means you pause the game. And we set the game object to active, meaning that we will display that HUD. It's basically this is what we will do. Poof, this is what that thing does. Superb, right? But how do we get from this state to this state? As you see, there is an arrow here. We do have you can't actually move those, the states themselves, the transitions. This is a transition, right? And the way you do it, you right click, you make a transition, and then you set it. Let's say that we want another state like this, and we want from the playing to be able to go on the flow state. You see, we are now able to go here. Beautiful, and you will see it a little bit later, more of this stuff. I can't really delete it now. I can. So let's see how we can go from this state to this state, and then how we can go from pause to playing, back to playing, right? If we double click the transition, boom, guys, we have a flow. And the flow is doing this. On keyboard input, escape down, we trigger the transition. That's how it goes. If we go back, we do it like this. To go from pause to playing, we can also press the escape key yet again, but we can also do on button click to go back when we press the resume button. So this is how we go. Let me actually demo scene, because it's kind of straightforward, so I don't want to spend don't save more with it. So we have unloaded the HUD, because it will get loaded right now. Let's actually go here. We go to the pause menu, and we go. You see, it's with blue, right? Because we are in that state. When we press escape, poof, we are in this state. When we press escape again, we are back on playing. When we press escape again, we are now there. And now we are going to press the resume button. Poof, we are now back there. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. You have no idea how excited stuff like this are making me, because it's logic. I can see it. It's visual. I like to think logic, but I also like to see it visual. It's beautiful. You can also rename the states over here. In case you are not seeing the text, even that you renamed it, you go to Tools. No, you go to Edit, Preference. You go to Bold, and then you can also have state reveal always. It's normally hover with Alt. No, it's always is this one, transition reveal. It was hover with Alt, and it was like, why can't I see it? So you can do it when you hold Alt and you do it like this. But no, I like it to always see it. You do that in the bold preferences. Now, let's actually talk a little bit about. Since we are talking about the UI, let's talk a little bit about the money, I believe. Let me actually see what I wrote down. We talked about the HUD scene, the pause menu, and the flow state machine. Let's talk about the scene load. No, yeah, let's do the scene load HUD. As I've said, this menu is actually hidden. I only activate it like that when I'm working on the HUD elements. And normally you don't have to do it like this, but I actually like to keep logic separated from level, separated from the UI. This is kind of the first time I'm using the UI as a separate scene, but I do recommend you to do it even if you're a solo developer. Normally you do it like this when you have multiple people working, and the reason for that is that, let's say that I'm working on the HUD scene, you are working on the HUD scene, we are going to have a conflict when we put it on Git, right? That way I'm saying, hey guys, don't work on the HUD scene because I'm working on the HUD scene, so they will work on another scene. The same thing happens when you have multiple levels in a platform game or other stuff like that, and you have the game manager, the code in a way separated, so the program can work on that, and he can just drag and drop, a level over here, and he can actually have a level. And right now, for example, I don't have a scene for the level, for the grass, because it's a small game, but in case I'm planning to create multiple levels, I will keep that scene, that level in another scene, right? So let's actually talk about this. We are now on the game manager. All right, and this is something that's right on top of the whole thing that we are going to discuss a little bit later. On the start, we want to load the HUD scene, right? And this is, again, I'm rambling, but I'm telling you some stuff that it's going to affect you if you don't pay attention. So even if this video is a bit long, I'm going to save you 1 hour maybe or 2, depends. We are going to load the scene asynchronously, right? Meaning that the game scene is already loaded, and then we are going to load it dynamically like over. And the way we are loading the scene is additive and not single. If we would have loaded the HUD scene single, our game scene will be unloaded, and then only the HUD scene will be loaded. So additive means that you are kind of adding the scene over. I mean, not over, maybe below, depends. Think of scenes, additive scene loading, like multiple layers. You can actually have scenes kind of like layers, right? Now, there is a problem that we had here. And let me tell you, ignore this for a bit and look at this. HUD scene loaded, we are going to trigger a custom event called HUD scene loaded. And we are going to trigger that on the UI manager. As you can see here, when the game starts, the UI manager himself is setting the variable UI manager to self. That way we don't have to find it with the game manager. Because find is not a good idea, because it will run over all your game objects and that will take time. It's simple. The UI manager is setting the variable UI manager to himself, right? To self. And that way game manager knows to whom to send the event, right? The event HUD loaded. And if you look over here, the HUD loaded is this event. It only happens once. It will find the money text. It will set the variable money text to the money text game object, and then it will trigger the event update money. So what will happen here? Let's actually load the HUD scene again. And you will see immediately what's the problem. We need to reference the money text because we need to have a reference to the money text, which is the 666 number over here, We need a reference to that. Why? Because we need to know the money text, so we know that to always update the money. It's a text that we need to have it reference, because we will always update the money, right? Whenever you do transaction, when you gain money, and when you build plant and you lose money, right? But this is the problem. If we don't do this wait here, this will trigger and it will start loading the scene. But immediately after that, we will trigger the HUD load, right? And this thing will trigger immediately the find money text. But there is a problem. Even that the HUD scene is fairly small and it will load pretty fast, it will still load slower than we can trigger this find. And basically our money will not be found because this text has not been loaded. So this will generate an error. So we do something else here. And this is important. You will be able to use this for multiple whenever you do this, right? We have this condition called wait until. Normally, you have this async. You can't really see it because of my webcam. You see this async, the result, the asynchronous thingy over there, over here. Normally, Unity has this in. Let me actually show you. Unity is done scene, and there is something that I don't really like with Bolt about this. Maybe they can do it a little bit different or something, I don't know. But basically the scene manager, this is the async operation, and the async operation has these properties and this event. And what we wanted to use is the is done, and has this is basically whenever the scene loaded, the is done will trigger. And I wanted to wait until this is done, it's true, and then we move forward. But this is the problem that I had with that. Bolt has no. It's weird. Some errors. Okay. Let's do tool, bolt, and update unit options. Anyway, bolt doesn't have those in, so it was a little bit like, why? So then I did something a little bit different. I had to use a wait until, and I can't really show you all the wait options. This was a little bit tricky because I've tried multiple ways, but basically you have this scene is loaded. It's thinking scene is loaded, right? And public ball is loaded, returns true if the scene is loaded. This is perfect, right? Why? Because we can also get scene by name, and we wrote HUD there, right? And then we will do a check is loaded, and when this fires true, this will not. This waits until this is true, and then it's triggering the HUD loaded, and then it's sending the event. It's perfect. It's actually like really beautiful. Let me actually unload. Can I? Okay, I can do it now. These are the wait options. There are a couple of extras, and we will talk about them soon. You can see that HUD scene is not loaded. Let's actually also remove it. And you will see that when I click play, it will take some time until the HUD will load. HUD is loading, and then now it's loaded, right? You could see that it is loading, and it was below 1 second, but again, this is kind of useful and important. That way we were sure that the scene is loaded before we trigger stuff that are requiring that scene. Okay, I think I've talked enough about this, and hopefully this was really useful to you, because I actually got a little bit problematic in the past when I was playing with code and with other stuff, because I was trying to reference stuff before the scene was loading, and I was like, why it can't find it, and you could manually put like a wait for 2 seconds, but then again you are hard coding a value and you're actually going to wait intentionally, and this might actually load much faster, but then at the same time it might load much slower. So you don't want to do it like this. Okay, so this only happens in the beginning, right? So let's actually talk a little bit about the money, since we are on this subject of the UI. Now, because we did that wait, the game object find was able to find the money text. It was able to money text to set the variable money text, and it was able to set this event update money, right? And if you remember correctly, we do have this variable over here in our app called money, which right now we set it at 100. But if you remember, our HUD says 666, magic number, I know. So, but also at the same time, you saw that when I'm starting the game, since this triggers, let's see exactly what update money is doing. We have a custom event, update money, and it's going to use the Text Mesh Pro UGUI text. And we have this to what variable, right? And we have a reference of the money text. And then let me actually load the HUD, because I do want to show you exactly what this is doing. Money, we go to money text. What this is doing, basically, it's taking this component, Text Mesh Pro UGUI, right? We are asking, okay, you want this component, but from whom? Who has this component that you want to access this? And we tell him money text. That's the guy that has that component. And he says, okay, boss, okay. What do you want to do with that component? Well, since it's Text Mesh Pro, we are setting the text. We will need a string, but then again, there is a problem. Our money is int. So we are concatenating the string, and we're inputting the int. So, right, you have this concat, it's string. You can have multiple arguments that is going to mash the strings together. Because if we don't do it like this, I remember that we had an error. Will it work? Maybe we don't. I will have it twice. I forgot to unload the HUD scene. You see, this is the error that it outputs. Invalid conversion exception. You cannot convert from system int32 to system string. Again, that variable is int, and we need a string. So this is why we are doing this. Maybe you guys have a better suggestion, in case you know how to do it better, right? Now, you might have Text Mesh Pro right in your project, but you can't access it. You can't find Text Mesh Pro, right? And you will be like, what the hell, Pat? How do you do it? You go to Bolt, you go to Unit Options Wizard, and you go to this assembly options, and this is all the stuff that Bolt can access. And right down below, you see Text Mesh Pro. We added it yourself. You click the plus, and you look for it for all the stuff that are currently inside your project, all the classes, and then you specify those two classes. One is called Text Mesh Pro this number, and one is called the same number, but it also has editor. And just to be safe, I put them both there, and that's how I was able to access the classes of Text Mesh Pro. And in case you have other plugins that you want to manipulate with Bolt, that's what you need to do. Okay, let's move forward. We talked about the UI manager, and this is what we are doing right now. This is the in a way, it's kind of like a function, right? The function called update money, and we will call this function whenever we are changing the variable money. There was a thing in Flow Canvas, the other visual tool I used before. There was a custom event. Well, it was custom made. I requested, and the developer made it. And hopefully, maybe Laszlo, we want to put an event like that also. It was called onVariableChange, and that event was always checking to see if a variable changed, and if that changed, it triggered. It might be a little bit resource intensive, I don't know, but right now basically I have to do it manual whenever I want to gain money or lose money, or whenever I'm working with the money value, I will have to call a custom event like this. I will have to use this node. So we are done with the UI. This is how we will handle the UI. And I believe that we will come back to the UI later. I think, I don't know, in another episode. So let's actually go back to the game manager. We saw that we loaded the scene here. I've also done another thing. This was the plant to build. And then when you right clicked, we were destroying the plant to build because you don't require it anymore. But there was a couple of problems. A lot of those problems were generated by a bug that we managed to debug, and that bug will be fixed soon. But it was kind of like a chain of reaction, which made me think a little bit about this better, because I didn't have this null check here, and there wasn't a possibility for me to destroy a variable that doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't exist anymore because I've already built the plant. If we go a little bit down, we are setting the plant to build to null, but then I'm also running the right click. So this would have been triggered, and then the destroy object would happen, but then the plant to click is the plant to build is already null. So this is actually a good thing that I've done. Now let's actually look at the grass tile clicked. This basically happens. This basically happens whenever you click a tile. And right now, if we go over here, this also happens to trigger over here, but it's basically stopping all our way here because we are only doing a debug. Grass got clicked, and then it's getting false because the plant UI clicked is not being it's not actually set up. Plant to build is set up to null. Why? Because we haven't clicked a plant here. If you remember from the first episode, we are setting a variable here whenever we are clicking a plant. And now when we are clicking on any of those grass tiles, this will happen. Click, click. And as you can see, I'm kind of clicking in the corner, yet the plant is going right in the middle. And this is basically what we are doing. Let's actually get the grass over here like this. We are going, there is a problem that can happen. Let's say that you build a plant right on this tile. Let's say that you click the plant again, and then you click the same tile again. You will be able to build two plants on the same spot, and we don't want that. And the way I decided to do this whole thing is that whenever I'm building a plant, I'm setting the plant that was instantiated as a child of the grass tile that I've just clicked, as you can see. And the check that I do, let's say that I want to build another sunflower, and I click there, you see, plant, grass got clicked, plant already on the tile. So I can't, but I can do it here. Nice. Am I right? Am I right? This in our case, this works perfect, but let's say that it might not work if you expect to have other children part of the grass tile, right? Like let's say maybe you have a particle that you want to spawn there as on that grass tile. You won't be able to do that, to do it this way. So it's always important to kind of find the solution that works for your game. In my case, this works perfect, right? So as you can see, we have this branch that's going to check to see if this is true or false. If this is false, we are going to output plant already on that tile. And this is how we do it. Since we already have a reference coming from the custom event, an argument, right? We are going to get the child count of the grass tile that is just coming. And if the grass tile is outputting to 0, it means it's true. If it's outputting to 1, 2, whatever, it means we have children, and it will output false. But if the child count equals 0, as you can see here, we are doing it beautiful like this, it will output true. And this is what we are going to do. This is a super unit, and we will go inside that in a moment. We created this super unit to have two inputs, a parent and a child, right? And the parent is the grass tile, and the child is the plant to build that we have it as a variable. The reason why I did it as a super unit is because we actually have a couple of nodes, and I wanted to condense everything in because this is what is happening. We are going to use the transform set parent, and not only that, but we also want to set the local position to 0, 0, 0, which means to put the plant in the middle of the tile we just click, in the middle of the parent itself, right? The plant is at 0, 0, 0. The plant, actually the parent is whatever it's requiring himself to be on the board. But then the plant, we want it to be on local position 0, 0, 0 of that tile. So this is why we are doing this over here. And we are not outputting anything. We are only outputting a flow. So we can continue with our journey, right? So this is all that it's doing here. We are getting the parent, and we are also having, it's not inputting anything, but we were smart. In order for us, you see the set parent, it's having the parent, but nothing is written here. It was a little bit confusing for us when we did this on stream. It was like, no, it's the other way around. And I was like, no, it's requiring the parent here. So it's kind of the other way. As you can see, it's kind of like going that other thing. And since we were like smart, as you can see in the input, we have the key. When we hid that, and we have the parent and the child. This is how you do it. The input, it's of type of game object, parent and child. I actually write that there. So when we go to the game manager, we can see parent and child, and it's not confusing us anymore. Am I right? So this is what's basically happening after. We will look at this a little bit later. But what happens here is that we send an event called planted to the plant to build. Keep this in mind. We will look after that later. We are setting the variable plant to build to null because we already built the plant, and then we are triggering the right click, which right now it's doing the plant UI click to false because we haven't clicked the UI anymore. We already built the plant, and we need to do that because if we don't do that, the follow cursor, the plant will still follow our cursor around, even that the plant is a child of the tile, and we don't want that. We want the plant to remain right at 0, 0, 0, right? It will still follow the cursor, but it will be a child of the grass tile. And again, this is why we are doing this. So this will become false, and it will not trigger anymore for the plant to follow the cursor. It might be a little bit confusing right now for you, I know, but just roll with me, right? And then again, we are doing a right click, as I've said. This will not trigger because another problem that was here, if we destroy the plant to build, right, it will just destroy the plant that we just built, and we don't want to destroy a plant that was just built because it was built. We don't want to cancel it. So this is why there is a logic here, and on the order it happens, some stuff. So let's talk a little bit about the Flower UI clicked. You know, as I've said, there was this bug that when I clicked a plant, it was instantiated and it was following my cursor. But then if I click the other plant, it was not destroying the other plant that we just instantiated to follow the cursor. So we are doing this over here. It's just a branch, a check, right? So plant UI clicked. If it's true, we do this. We run the right click argument, meaning that we set this to false, and then we destroy the plant to build, right? We have the sunflower following our cursor. We click the new plant, and this will basically trigger the right click. It will destroy the sunflower that we just clicked, right? But then we trigger this event again, the same event that we just triggered, flower UI clicked, and we use the same argument that we already have, right? And because we set the plant UI click to false, this will not trigger on top, it will trigger what's below here. Beautiful. And we have the debug log, so I can see what plant I clicked. We have the find plant that I showed you in the last episode. We are setting the plant to build that we just found, and we are setting the plant UI click to ball to true. So the new plant is, following the cursor. So it was a nice and easy fix. So we're kind of like at the end of the whole thing, of this whole episode. Let's talk about the plants. This is where I left it off last night, because I kind of stopped so I can make this video, so then I can continue it. So you don't get too overwhelmed. Anyway, the plants will have a couple of state machines. One state machine which will not talk. I haven't done it yet. It will be like the live state and the dead state, right? Because all our plants and the zombie too will use the same logic when it comes to health. So you want to use the same state machine when it comes to health to all our plants and to the zombie, right? But then the plants themselves, and I'm talking about the sunflower and the firing plant, and later maybe you want to add multiple plants, they also have two states: the state of being unplanted and the state of being planted. And this is the problem, because the way we are doing things right now, and it will totally make sense right now, right? The sunflower, the logic of the sunflower will be that the sunflower, every 10 seconds, it will spawn a sun that you can click to gain money. If I click the plant right now, the plant is currently instantiated, it exists. So if I don't build the plant and I have it in the scene, the plant will already start to generate sun. It is the case of the sun. But if I have the plant of the firing plant, if I don't build it and I move it around, the firing plant will be able to see the cat once outside. Of course, the cat always needs attention when I'm recording videos. Anyway, you will be able to fire the plant just by moving it around. Hey, there is a zombie coming from here. Hey, I'm keeping the plant over here to see. You can exploit this. So we need a way for the plant to know that it's not currently planted, right? And this is the sunflower. We are going to select the state machine. As you can see, the plant right now, it's with blue, it's unplanted. But when we plant it, you see there is a custom event, there's a transition, and then the plant will do the stuff that will happen here. Poof. You can see the plant is happening right now. The planted is happening right now. And if we double click the unplanted, we don't have anything, because we don't want the plant to do anything when it's unplanted. Also, and I want you to notice something else. Right now, the plant, you look at the animation of this plant that's following the cursor. The plant itself is not animating, because we don't want it to animate. We want it to be like that. And I'm not saying that you can't do anything here on the unplanted scene. Maybe you want the sprite of the plant to be a little grayed out, right? So you know that the plant itself is not already builded. And can we do this right now live on the scene? Let's actually, I'm feeling I don't know, inspired right now. It might not work. Let's actually go to the plant prefab. And if you look at the sunflower, what we want to do is access the sprite. And maybe we want to access the alpha of the sprite. So something that you could do in the future is to drag and drop. In theory, you could do it now, but there is a small bug right now, and you can't drag and drop stuff from it. There's no point for me to talk about this, because this will like literally be fixed in the next couple of days. So let's actually go to sprite, image sprite, get. This is what we want. We want to get the sprite of self. And this is what we will get over here. No, this is getting the sprite. No, we want to get the color. No, sprite. This is all the actions that we can do with the sprite. No, we don't want the sprite. We want to get the sprite renderer. Sorry. Why can't we see it? Let's see. This looks sprite renderer. and we want to get color, and color, we want the alpha, which I think it's the A. Yes, it's an int. We want to set it variable as a graph set. Whew. We want to set it to be, this is it correctly? I'm a bit confused right now because you want to set it. No, this is how we set it, but this is, we are setting this variable to this color, which is 1. We want to manipulate this 1. So we get this, we do a subtract, and we subtract it by 0.7. Oops. Okay. And now we set it. So this value is at 1. We are subtracting it with 0.7, and it will become 0.3. Let's save. Let's play. I'm really excited about this because it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? This only makes the video longer. Did this triggered? I don't think it triggered. Now it triggered when I click it on the exit state. No, wait. Now I found the problem. We go to the sunflower, we go here. We don't want to use the exit state because we don't want to trigger this when we exit. We want to trigger this when we enter. On enter state. Now we do this. Oh my god, the excitement. We have the plant over here. We are going to see this. It's there. But wait, it's unplanted and it still didn't trigger. We are doing something wrong. But anyway, this is kind of like how you would do it. But I think I'm making like a mistake over here. Like I'm getting the self. Let's put the, maybe this is, he doesn't like it because what if we, oh, never mind. I think I know the problem. The alpha is from, yeah. The alpha is not from 0 to 1. It's from 0 to 250, and we want it to subtract it from, it's at 250, and we want it to be, yeah, let's do it like this. We subtract it by 200. Oh my god, are we going to do it? Why every time I like find, but I guess you can see the excitement a little bit in myself. Anyway, we are kind of at the end of the whole tutorial thing, so you can close the video anyway. We are getting the sprite renderer of the sunflower anyway. It's going to get this alpha component of the color. We are going to subtract A, B, so from 250 to, and this is supposed to be, okay, but this is only setting the variable, but it's not setting it here. I wish I could drag and drop. So let's do it like this. Let's unlink this. We have the color over here, and we want to not set the variable. We want to if we subtract, it will just do this. But then, so we are getting this value, but we now need to set the alpha, right? So let's actually go to color, new color. No, we need to go to sprite renderer. Okay, and we can't really access the other things. We can't really access this. Why? Okay, but anyway, I will do this myself and I will have all the fun myself. But this is basically, right? The plant is unplanted and is not doing anything. We have this transition called custom event. And as you can see, do you remember the planted thing that we are firing when you on the game manager? Do you remember this argument, planted? It's sending it to the plant to build. Well, this is what's triggering this event that's going to the state planted. And on enter state, we have the animator set boolean of self of the animator of the plant to planted to true, right? The boolean name, the parameter is planted. It's called planted, and we will send it to true. So let's actually, I have this on. I created animations over here, and I do have the sunflower. This is the state machine of the sunflower, and this is the animation of the idle, right? So I created this one called frozen, which is why the sunflower is not animating, because it's frozen. I created this special state, and in order for you to get from the frozen to the idle state, which actually has the sunflower idle and the animation is set to 0.1, because if it's at 1, the plant will do it like this, right? We set it to 0.1, and the way you are triggering this, you see, we have a parameter. Normally you are at layers, you have to go to parameter, you have to click the plus, and you will create a variable for the animator. And this is not related to Bolt, this is related to Unity, but I'm explaining it so you can learn in case you don't know it. So in order for you to get from frozen to the idle state, we need the condition is that planted has to be true, and you trigger those through code, and this is what we are doing here. The animator self, because if you look at the sunflower besides having the state machine, it also has an animator right now that's pointing to the sunflower. So this is what's triggering the animation for it to move. But then we actually got to a big problem yesterday. There was no special wait loop like you see here. We want the sun from the sunflower to trigger every number of seconds, and this wasn't available in Bolt. And the coincidence, or however you pronounce it, was that this guy Jason Jones, who's also active on the Discord channel, created these new unit tools called flow control, and you can download them yourself and you can input them into Bolt, so you can use the new nodes that he created. You have the combine node that's only going to trigger when everything that's related to the combine fired. You have the do once node, you have a frame sequence, you have the cycle value and control, and what important, you have the wait for seconds loop, wait until loop, and wait while loop. He created them those yourself, and I placed the link in the description so you can download them. And we are using right now the wait loop, which is amazing. And as you can see here, you have an enter, you have a break in case you want to break this. This is the delay of the seconds, and this is what's happening. Whenever you get at the wait loop, the entered will fire in case you want something to fire immediately when you get there. So for example, let's say that I want to spawn a plant, a sun, immediately while I builded the plant. Then I will put this also over here. I don't want to do this, of course, so I will delete it. The loop thingy will happen every frame while this while loop is actually triggering. So for example, let's say that you want to create a debuff where your player is moving slowly, right? You use a wait loop, and you put that, let's say the debuff will be for 3 seconds, and for this loop you will maybe set the value to be slower, but you don't want to do it every frame, so this is not working in this case. Anyway, and then we have an exit state that this will trigger basically, and you also have you also have these two inputs, two floats actually, the elapsed time and then the remaining time. And this is actually super useful because you might need to, let's say you have a debuff and you have an UI that's popping on your screen and you want to display 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. You will need to know the elapsed time, right, or the remaining time. So this is why it's very useful that this is here. So this wait loop actually came like super at perfect timing, because this is what I was doing yesterday, and I kind of arrived at this problem. I was like, and then I wake up and hey, I have a wait loop for me. So thanks to Jason, is his name? Jason Jones, JJ. Thanks to JJ for creating those nodes. So this kind of sums up this tutorial. Hopefully this was useful to you. In the next tutorial, I'm going to finish implementing the plant, the sunflower plant, the sun, and maybe we will have time to implement the firing plant. That's going to be a little bit challenging because the firing plant, it will require a raycast that we need to check that the raycast is hitting, or a line cast in our case, since we are in 2D. We will have to see that that line cast is hitting a zombie. So it's maybe we are not going to do the firing plant next, but we maybe are going to implement the health system and the money system, because the plant right now, they don't have a price. So when you build, your money doesn't go down. And we are going to do this in the next episode, because we are also going to implement the sun, which will give you money. So I think this is going to be like pretty good for the next episode. So I don't know, hopefully this was enjoyable for you. Again, it was a long video, sorry for this. This is how my tutorials are. I like to explain, I like to show you stuff, how I did it. I like to show you the problems that I had and so on. So write in the comments below if this was really useful to you, because it's helping me a lot, at least to know that I'm being helpful to someone. So thank you guys for watching this. See you soon. Goodbye.